Hello, everyone. Before we get started, I just want to make you aware that the video portion of this webinar is being recorded. Hello, and welcome to the CDSE December webinar, the December SAP webinar. Thank you for participating and joining us today. We are excited to have you. My name is Donna Jarvis-Smith. I am the SAP Curriculum Manager here at CDSE. Again, my name is Donna, and like I said before, I'm the SAP Curriculum Manager at CDSE. I started in 2008 as an instructor and became the Curriculum Manager in 2010. In this role, I am responsible for design, development, course instruction, not destruction, but course instruction of the curriculum, of the SAP curriculum. The rest of my experience or my career history is there on the screen. I'm not going to read that for you because now I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Mr. Robert Caldwell, who will share some things about himself. Rob?
Hello, Donna. Hello, everyone. As Donna mentioned, my name is Robert Caldwell. I'm instructor here for CDSE. I've been here since May of 2013, and it's been fun. They say time flies when you're having fun. I'm the course manager for the CDSE SAP Mid-Level Security Management course, as well as the orientation to SAP Security Compliance course manager. So, Donna, without further ado, let's get underway.
Thanks, Rob. So I just want to let you know that the questions that we received for our Frequently Asked Questions webinar were received from our sapsecurity.training@dss.mil mailbox, from the course iterations during the course sessions, questions about new policy, as well as questions that were sent in during registration of this webinar. We received an abundance of questions, therefore we cannot answer all of them during the 30-minute time span. However, all of them will be posted, as well as any questions that you send in during this time we have together. We'll post them to the archive so that you can receive them and review them. So we're going to get started, and we're going to jump right into our first poll question. And like Michelle said, you'll answer this poll question by clicking on a yes and a no, and it is, are all SAPs carved out? So this is your time to, okay, so we're getting some responses in. It feels like we're in the classroom when we're asking this question, because this is what we get. Some think it is, and some think that it isn't. So, okay, so we're back to 100%. We were at 2080, but now we're back to 100% of you who think that all SAPs are not carved out. All right, so Michelle, I think we're good with this. We can go ahead and close this poll question. Before we give you the answer to the poll question, I think we should just go over a little bit about what carved out means. So basically, DSS, or the Defense Security Service, has ultimate responsibility for oversight of national industrial security programs for SAPs, unless there has been a provision made by the Secretary or the Deputy Secretary of Defense, and who has relieved DSS of their oversight responsibility of SAPs. So now we're going to give you the answer and the policy. So according to the DOD 5205.07, which is the SAP policy, and for the rest of this webinar you may hear say 07, the .07, you know what we're talking about, not all SAPs have a carve-out provision. Hey, Rob, you want to give some more information on this?
Sure. Something very important to keep in mind when a program is not carved out, so the carve-out provision is not approved, then DSS, Industrial Security Representative, will have oversight, but the key thing is they must work in conjunction with the program security officer. So again, this is a team approach when DSS has been provided oversight authority.
And regardless of the carve-out status, DSS is still responsible for issuing the facility security clearance for all defense contractors that perform work on SAP contracts. And remember, your DD-254 should indicate who has oversight responsibility. And I believe it's line 15 where it'll state if who has the oversight responsibility or if DSS is carved out. So our next question as we move on is regarding transportation plans. So Michelle told you about the chat, and to your right there's a box there for you to enter your responses. And the question is, what should be included in a transportation plan? Now, we know that technology is a little bit slow, so it may take a couple of seconds for your responses to come through, but this is your opportunity to type in what you think should be included in the transportation plan. And right now, I don't see anybody. Okay, so we see somebody typing in. Thank you for adding your responses. The bus schedule. So we have somebody out there who has jokes, and that's always good during the 30 minutes we are here together. The bus schedule. So possibly, I guess you never know what your mode of transportation is going to be. But definitely, I see other responses coming in: courier briefing, location, destination, and others are typing. Oh, that's a good one. Someone said, what is being transported? Absolutely. You need to know what you're moving. So others are typing in. We're going to give them the opportunity to add some good responses before we go on and give you the answer. Where is it going? Absolutely. Who, what, when, where, and why. I like that answer. Okay, so we're going to got one more coming in real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and close this chat. Okay, Michelle, you can close the chat. So, Rob, tell us what should be included in this transportation plan.
Thank you, Donna. We've had some very good responses. We saw some that are in there, and what we're going to discuss now are the minimum things that are required to be outlined in the transportation plan. We'll start with the priority of transportation modes. In that, we mean if it will be government air, commercial air, or ground transport. That's very important. Inventory of the classified information. You want to ensure you inventory that prior to it leaving the secure location. Custody, a continuous chain of custody, meaning that while the information is being transported, then you want to ensure you have personnel in place to make sure that it's secure through transport, through the transportation of it. PSO approval 30 days in advance of the proposed movement. So that's another key milestone for you. You want to have this plan to the PSO 30 days prior to the actual movement.
So, Rob, if, 30 days is a long time. I might have to move this item next week. My PSO isn't going to approve it. What's going to happen?
Of course, your PSO can approve it, but again, that's case-by-case situations. You want to coordinate with your PSO. The key thing here is communication. You want to have an open line of communication and provide the PSO constant updates on when and what's the delay with it, having the plan in the 30-day requirement. So again, bottom line, communication is key if you get close to or within that 30-day requirement.
Okay, great. So you guys out there in cyber world, remember there is no template for a transportation plan. However, I believe we provided a template for you in that file share box, the transportation plan format. It's the one that we use in our training. But if you have another partner or PSO counterpart who have done a transportation and movement plan, you can always use theirs and doctor it up to fit your plan and your movement action. One thing to remember is contingencies are a must. Something will always happen. So whatever you can think of that may happen probably will happen. So make sure you include as many contingencies that you can think of and that your plan is understood by everyone involved in the movement. They should be able to read your plan and actually visualize everything that's going to happen in that plan, with the exceptions of those contingencies that may take place. So now I think we're going to move on to our next chat, and this is an opportunity for you to type in as well. The question is, who will conduct the brief? Now, since this question came in kind of vague, we're thinking from this perspective of the security compliance inspections, and we see that people are already typing in, so you already understood the question, which is awesome. So from the security compliance inspection, who should be conducting that brief? So we have numerous answers, just like we do in the classroom, Rob.
Good mixture of answers. Great. Keep the answers coming in. We do always have a lot of discussion on who should conduct the actual brief, so we're very curious on the answers that you provide. So keep the answers coming in. We'll hold the chat open for a couple more seconds before we move on.
Okay. So it looks like we may have one more answer coming in. Awesome. So we're going to, we have PSO, CPSO, FSO, security office, so we have numerous answers. So we're going to share with you what the policy says.
So we've covered for all the security professionals, that's good, but the PSO will conduct the brief. Some of the key things that the PSO will outline in that brief is the inspection schedule, what time they plan to start that day, what time they plan to end, the number of days they anticipate being there to conduct the inspection, and then the team composition, who will be assisting the PSO in completing the security compliance inspection. Sometimes they'll bring someone from budgeting with them. Sometimes they'll bring someone from the IT career field, but they'll let you know that in the brief. The special emphasis items, these are items that are decided by the SAP code annually, and they forward down to the PSO. The PSO will get those out to the security professionals out in the field to ensure that they're prepared to answer questions on those particular areas. And then just the general ground rules for how things will occur, if they will require assistance from the GSSO or the CPSO, and anything unique that's not covered in any other rules. Key people that should be there, the CPSO, the GSSO, the site program manager, and security management should attend. That way everyone hears the same brief from the PSO to make sure they get off to a good start for the security compliance inspection.
Thanks, Rob. So just to tag on to what Rob is saying, you should also remember if this is a team inspection, meaning there are multiple services there to do the inspection, there will be a team chief, and that person will do the brief, as well as if DSS is not carved out, the DSS representative will do the brief as well. Also, the individuals who can attend, the program manager can invite others to that meeting as well. So keep that in mind.
Donna, can I get a plug here for our security compliance course? Our security compliance course is designed around conducting inspections, being an inspector, and getting inspected. So please take a look at the CDSE website. When you see the security compliance course, sign up for that course. We have 2 iterations, one in May and then another one in July, and that's open for you. So take a look at the course description. There's maybe 1 or 2 prerequisites required. Complete them, and then we'll get you in the course.
Thanks, Rob. That's good information. Please sign up for that course. When the new manuals come out, we're going to have some whatever new policy information. We're going to update that course, and we'll be ready to roll hopefully in May. So we have another poll question for you, and this poll is relating to the SAP nomination process. So the question came in as, is maintaining and updating the SF86/EQIP required? So we see a lot of you are saying yes. It's okay, we're tagging them back and forth, so it probably end up being 50-50. We don't know. We'll see what the final results are. But should you maintain that SF86? Now remember, this is the new process. Okay, so we have about 75% of you saying yes, with the rest saying no, and we're going to go ahead and close that poll and tell you what the policy says. So first, let's start out with saying that everyone should be using the SAP nomination process, or the SAP NP. A memo came out last year, September 25th, 2013, and it told us that everyone should not be using the old process any longer. So in this new process, it tells us that the package itself will include the PAR, or the Program Access Request, and that new SAP Personnel Security pre-screening questionnaire, which should be dated within the last 365 days. So as you see here, the SF86 is not included excuse me, in that package. So it also tells us that for continued eligibility, first of all, your eligibility is contingent on your compliance to specific things. For instance, you must report all changes that may affect your security access to SAP. And you also have to recertify that pre-screening questionnaire. So nowhere on there does it say that you should keep that SF86. As a matter of fact, you should no longer be holding on to anyone's SF86 or equip form. It should not be maintained on file. So here's just another point that we get from the SAP NP, and a question that we always get is information previously reported on the SF86 required to be reported on the SAP pre-screening questionnaire? So this is not a chat, but thank you for trying to type in. But I guess we got a question. When will they be updating it? Okay, so we're going to answer that question for you. So Rob's going to help us out with answering that question for you.
All right. So in our blocks of instructions for our courses, we actually spend a lot of time on the SAP nomination process and these questions. So right now you should see the 5 questions that are contained on the SAP nomination process questionnaire. So let's go through these questions just so we can have a clear understanding of what's required and what's not. So question 1 and 2, foreign affection and foreign associates. These 2 questions are what we call ever questions. Do you or have you ever had? So these 2, the answers to these 2 will be yes if they apply. Question 3 deals with foreign travel. So stipulates either last investigation or not previously reported. Keep that in mind and keep those dates in mind and have that readily available if you can when completing the questionnaire. Question 4 and 5, personal conduct and financial, stipulates the last investigation. So again, this is one the time that the actual answer was reported, or whatever answer you have, the time frame that was reported is very key. So for question 3, 4, and 5, or since your last investigation, so these things happen. So since your last investigation, keep in mind you must continue to report them. All right, so your last investigation, have that date in mind or have it available, and then ask yourself, did this happen since my last investigation?
Okay, so just to piggyback a little bit, got a question about when will they be updating. I guess it says the SF86. That requirement is for your clearance. It is not for your SAP access, if I'm getting the question correctly. But if not, we will review that question further after the webinar is over and provide an answer in the website. So yeah, so that's a clearance requirement, not a SAP access requirement. Your access requirement is now this pre-screening questionnaire. Would you agree with that, Rob?
Yes, that's right, Donna. And just to clarify, we will answer any questions that we may get that we're unable to answer here. So continue to submit questions to us, and we will get to them at the end, or if not, we don't have enough time, then we'll definitely send out the responses.
Okay, thanks, Rob. So now we want to talk a little bit about the letter of compelling need. When is the letter of compelling need required? So we got some questions about it, but before we go to those questions, we want to talk about what is a letter of compelling need.
Well, the key things with a letter of compelling need, if the candidate cannot meet the prerequisites of receiving SAP access, then those are things that fall under a need for a letter of compelling need. So you must keep that in mind when you're determining what is a letter of compelling need and do I need one. So a candidate does not meet the prerequisite requirements, so therefore you must submit a letter of compelling need to the SAPCO office to get a waiver on getting access.
Okay, thanks, Rob. So to add to that, the security officer and the program manager will sign off on this letter of compelling need. So apparently someone has decided that they want to nominate this person because they really need them in the program. But like Rob said, they don't meet the criteria. So the program manager, along with the PSO, has to justify why they need this person so badly or why no one else can do this job. So that is why that is what the information would be in that letter of compelling need. So moving on, additional information about the SAP nomination process memo.
So as we spoke of earlier, the candidate prerequisites, the need for a letter of compelling need is based on what the candidate cannot meet. For example, documented in the SAP nomination process memo, if the candidate does not have a final top secret or secret clearance appropriate for the SAP that they're applying for, is very important. Current investigation is validated by the appropriate SAPCO, and they do not have a DD-254 or a consultant agreement in place. So again, those are the minimal things. But when you're creating a letter of compelling need, what you want to keep in mind is you must detail and provide all of the facts to the SAPCO office for approval for access. So the key thing is getting all the facts in the letter of compelling need, first determining if they meet the requirements for a letter of compelling need, then getting all of the facts in the letter of compelling need, and then getting the proper signatures and submittal up to your SAPCO office for approval.
Okay, thanks, Rob. So we're going to transition now to the JSIG. I'm sure many of you have heard the term JSIG. It's a buzzword that's been that we've been hearing for the past year, some months, or a year and a half or so. And it is the Joint SAP Implementation Guide. And what it is, in keeping with DoD's intent to transition to the risk management framework, the JSIG will provide standardized information assurance related implementation guidance for policy and procedures authorizing information assurance programs, basically, within your programs. The 5200.07 Volume 1, the new manual, which isn't out yet, but it should codify what the procedures are for JSIG. So let's see what the poll question is. And the poll question is a true or false response from you. The JSIG draws its authority from the DoD SAPCO memo. So basically, where does the authority come from to operate under JSIG? Okay, so awesome. You were listening to my little spill about JSIG because everybody's saying true here. So we're going to go ahead and close that poll because you guys are so on top of it. And Rob's going to give you what the policy says about JSIG.
Again, authority draws from the DoD SAPCO memo. The memo was put out the same way the SAP nomination process memo was put out, just to get us some guidance out there to help with the migration from 6.3 to the JSIG, which talks a lot about the risk management framework. So as Donna mentioned, in the 5205.07 Volume 1, you'll see Enclosure 6 will codify the JSIG.
Thanks, Rob. So now we want to move on to another topic, which is marking. And we are almost finished, so don't go anywhere. We only have a couple of more slides to go. Marking is our last topic. So which marking policy should be used for SAP documents? The 5200.01 Volume 2 or the 5205.07 Volume 4? And I see most of you are saying the Volume 4. You know that's the new volume that just came out on marking. So that means to me, that tells me that everybody's using the SAP policy. Okay, let's close the poll. Thank you, Michelle. And the policy is, you are correct, the 5205.07 Volume 4 is the SAP standard. That is the policy that you should be using for, if you're working in SAP programs. We should always go to the SAP policy first. However, Rob's going to give us some more information on marking. As a matter of fact, he's going to give us an example.
Thank you, Donna. I'll be providing a brief sample of the marking and highlighting some of the significant changes that are changes from policy changes. So in our banner, we're going to have our header and footer, of course, will be marked properly. Always start with the classification level. A key marking here is 2 forward slashes. And this is a change here where Special Access Program, SAP, SAR, you can use Special Access Program required. They could be spelled out or the acronym. The program names now must be spelled out. No PIDs are allowed in the banner now. A single slash if you're using multiple programs, and then a double slash to indicate wave if it's a wave program and if that applies. For our paragraph markings, our classification level, again, 2 forward slashes. You have SAR there. And then, again, in the paragraph, you can use the acronym. And then for the program, you can use the PID in the program. So keep that in mind. On the banner, you must spell out the program. And then in the paragraph, you want to ensure you use the PID. Our classification authority block, and keep in mind, this example will be based on a derivative classified document. So our classified by line, the name and position. And then if you're not using agency policy, agency letterhead, then ensure you indicate what agency. And then derive from our security classification guide or source documents, whichever applies for derivative classified document. Declassify on, this is a big change as well. Insert 31 December of the year of the document. So if a document is classified in the month of November of this year, then 31 December would be the day and month, and then the year would be 40 years. And we'll get to that later. Per the file series exemption, SAP documents are authorized to be classified up to 40 years. In our collateral environment, it's 25 years, but with this file series exemption, it pushes it out to 40 years. So let's move over to our next chat.
Hey, Rob, before we move to our next chat, someone wanted to know where can they get the supplemental questions for the SAP MP. We don't have that document in our file share box, but we will include that when we upload it onto the website. Thanks, Rob.
Okay, great.
Okay, moving on.
When marking a classification authority block of a derivative document, the declassification date should be 40 years from the date of A, creation of the new document, B, the source document. So let's chat it up. Let's get some responses here. Tell us what you think. This topic is always a big topic of discussion. We've seen some different answers out in the field when students come and attend our courses. So we want to ensure that this question was in our chat. So we're getting some responses in. I see mostly A for creation of new document. Good responses. Keep them coming.
This seems like I'm having deja vu, Rob, because it looks like the responses that we get in the classroom.
Exactly. So getting a little bit of a mixed response. No problem with that. We want to clarify this because we spent a lot of time discussing this as well because this is new and to some, and then the policy change may have others thinking something other than what's new.
Okay, so just remember, derivative classifiers should apply the calculated 40-year duration from, I wish we had a drum roll, but the answer is B, the source document. So the marking policy says that the .07 Volume 4 tells us that 40 years from the date of the document. And some of you selected A, creation of the new document, but we got to remember that SAP has enhancements, so we always go to the enhanced policy. However, we may have to go back and look at what the baseline document says. And the baseline document, 5200.01 Volume 2, tells us that if using multiple source documents, you use the longest period among them. If you're using the security class guide, you follow the declassification instructions provided by the OCA. So just to give you an example, if you have a source document dated December 2013 and you have a source document dated 2014 December, you will always go to the document that will give you the longest period, which will be the December 2014 document. But you always use the source documents or the security class guide instructions from the OCA. So this concludes our webinar. We thank you so much for joining us. If you have additional questions, please send them to our sapsecurity.training@DSS mailbox, and someone from the team will gladly respond to you. We also need you to do a short survey. Don't go yet. It's just 3 questions, and we need you to just take a moment and provide feedback to us, stating how the webinar went, if you have some ideas on future webinars or products that you would like to see in our toolbox. As a matter of fact, our SAP toolbox will be released very shortly. But if you don't have any other questions, we just want to say thank you and have a happy and safe holiday season. And we love to see you in 2015.